What is going on, everybody? It is Lack of Lepers, aka SCP-CRNP, and I want to welcome you to our Tuesday night reaction series where we take a look at whatever is going on around the space. A lot of different things, usually podcasts. I'm dying to get back to podcasts. We'll do that at some point, but we are still in 7-Con season, and so last time this week we started watching The Sherm and Billith. Check out some readings. Here it is right here. And we have been interested in checking out their little, I would maybe say mini crit sessions that they've had. Excuse me. As I fix this camera, I've been interested in their crit sessions. No, that didn't work out very well. Crap, you move it once and it's just lost. You just lost your you've lost your sweet spot. So I'm just interested to hear what they say about all these entries. Of course, they're reading all of these entries. That's a little too much for us to do. Not sure about that. But what we can do is listen to what they have to say about these articles. So last time we got through looks like 3 articles. We should be getting a little more done tonight because I don't have to introduce things or ramble quite as much. So let's get to that. Let's get right into it. We'll do this for our usual hour or so. Hope you're doing well.
Serendipity by Radiger.
Perfect.
And this one I have read, and I am biased towards because I was on the crit and I enjoyed it. But before I start reading this, I got to remember
always good.
The GoFundMe.
Always good to disclose your involvement. Right? Involvement, that was the word, right? This is done in professional papers. Anytime somebody writes a professional paper, there's a section dedicated to, hey, what are my conflicts of interest? How am I associated with this? Where do I fit in with all this? Am I a benefactor of this study? Am I a benefactor of the results of this study? Yada. So good on The Sherm.
Me. Refresh
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Go with hyphens between those.
Sorry, we missed
he's
some
in
banter.
the chat right now, and he needs your help. We couldn't get Sarah McLachlan to sing over this, but we want you to still look at him like he's a sad little puppy and go over to his GoFundMe. GoFundMe.com/f/a tree tried to kill me. It missed with hyphens between those.
I can't sing.
It's in the description. It's in my posts about it on Twitter.
So what's funny about this is they have this ominous music backing this whole thing, and it shows up at really good moments. Like it really came through the mix when they were reading the Hungry season, but it's also coming through now. Just seems very unsettling when they're talking about helping Dr. Sumerian here.
Needs to get out of that house before it tries to kill him again.
He does need to get out of that
Second
house.
time.
He might not be that lucky the second time, and we'll get to that. Maybe he is. Maybe he is.
All right, water, and then we start SCP Serendipity.
Let's skip. Oh, I gotta make sure. Did somebody ever? No. Oh, there we go. Somebody did it. Thank God. This is what I mentioned last week. This is what I want to see right here. And I'm so glad someone else did it, because if I had done it, I was very tempted to do this. If someone else did it, if I did it, it would be deleted, just because I know Sherm ain't going to tolerate that, even if it's helpful. That's just how it goes down. So, all right, good. So what we can do then is actually go to the next one, and just, I think it'll be easier if we
oh no.
Rewind. The article does the trick. But yeah.
Let's see. A little further.
The author,
I'm happy to have yes-anded to help the article, so...
A little more.
Hero slot. That is people and comedy stuff. Instances ourselves, and all of ours are deactivated. Oh no, my lucky pen is no longer lucked out.
Come on, guys.
Of the O5 Council.
Damn it.
Rad brought this to
We're still rewinding.
SCP-7000 and continue to let it rip, as it were.
What about the people who have already read the file? They're shit out of luck, aren't they?
End log.
Okay. That was funny. I like that.
I wrote this in my discussion, but I'm just going to say it on stream as well. Rad brought this to me, and it was the first and second addendums is what they had. And addendum they just didn't know what to do with addendum 3. They didn't feel like the article had an ending. And I am very, very proud to have come up with the idea of the O5 Council debating on whether or not to keep it going, because if people know about it, then they could get rid of it, but then it would no longer be useful to them.
See, I thought that was the most clever part of the article. This is a really goofy article, something that I don't typically like very much. But the one saving grace that it had was that really clever moment that B. Sherm is just describing. And so it's interesting to hear that he was the one who came up with that.
And then
good on him.
That final line of, I guess they're shit out of luck because we have read the article, so now we cannot make SCP-7000 instances ourselves. And
it's very meta.
All of ours are deactivated. Oh no,
yeah, very clever.
Lucky pen is no longer lucky.
Right. That whole transcript kind of came off a little bit like a -J, but at the same time, I mean, it was hilarious. The whole thing was funny.
Yeah, Rad is people and comedy stuff. And
it did come off as a -J, but don't you dare say, hey, this maybe should be a -J. People get really offended by that because their comedy is too good to be in a -J. Their comedy is meant for the main list. So watch out.
And her statement on this article is that she does not want to win the contest.
See, this is what Harmony was talking about. If you checked out Harmony's YouTube recently, we watched it last week, I think, where Harmony says, the problem these days is that it doesn't feel like people are trying to compete. They just want to be on stage. It's almost like somebody coming up behind a camera of a live TV news coverage thing, and they wave at the camera, go, "Hi, Mom." Like, that's kind of what they want to do with these kind of articles. And I mean, that's fine, but if you don't want to win, why are you entering the contest? Isn't that a good question? If you aren't aiming to win, why are you entering the contest? And the only answer available is just the pageantry of it, I guess. But I think the more piercing answer, probably the least honest answer is, well, I know that people are going to be reading a lot of these. People will be reading the SCP-7000 entries more than your typical SCP. And so that's why people like Rad have posted an article like this, even though they don't really care for it to compete, is because they're essentially just trying to siphon away, piggyback on the limelight that is happening. So this is already a really, really crowded contest. Personally, not that my personal preference would change anything, but I certainly would rather people enter the contest who are interested in competing, and then the people who are not enter the contest. Does that kind of sound weird? Like, I know that sounds crazy, but if you don't want to compete, just save it until the new series opens up, I guess, until the contest is over, if it really means that much to you. Sad. But at least Radiger is honest enough to admit that she's basically just trying to leech a little bit.
Just wants to get a high enough vote so that she can get SCP-7320 slot, because she wants this to be the spiritual successor to 5320, the longest fish.
And you couldn't wait. You think someone else is going to take that spot as a result of this contest? I doubt it. Why don't you just wait until the series opens? I'm pretty sure you could grab it if your article is good and ready.
Gotcha.
It's about office politics and goofing off.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Fair.
And
yeah,
I'm happy to have yes-anded to help the article. So I love this because I helped.
That's an awful reason to like it.
And Radiger, if you're listening, I see the little the spacing issue between the author, the author credits thing, and the rating module for Basalt. You can add a little bit of code in there. I put it in my articles because I know that they overlap without that. But just a little bit of padding.
Good note.
Does the trick.
That's a careful eye on Billith right there. One for the nice CSS components. Details.
Yeah. Good content.
I cannot
like
re-rate
this.
this
Is a
as
great
a
article.
+1 because I already rated it as a +1. Woohoo!
You can't +2. Got it.
If only. If
Fantastic.
only. All right. So that was Radiger.
Across the country, real.
We'll skip those ads. All right. So the next one is Chaos, You Are My Angel. So we will skip to
SCP-7000.
and maybe go back a few. Let's see.
Whichever one is there. Okay.
Thanks, Fish.
And I'm guessing the
Maybe a little more.
SCP-7000 received a single message while in containment, listed as follows: "It's everything I'm not." Cool.
Cool.
What do you think?
Hi, I'm chewing on it.
I think it's funny. I like it.
I love it. I love that line. That's a good line.
I always enjoy. I'm a big fan of the cold god order character, and then like the comedy character. The Clash is always a good recipe.
Is it? Is it always a good recipe? Nah.
Right. Yeah. It's If it definitely falls back on those tropes.
It does, doesn't it? It basically is those tropes, ain't it?
And I do like the very mundane made bizarre, like it's just a phone, but of course there's a literal god on the phone.
Yeah, I don't know. That's been done to death too, hasn't it? Like, it's almost just too wacky for you.
And the phone also ascends you into godhood. It's funny, and I'm guessing I'm gonna have to reread this to kind of like get the full gist of what they did to the phone, besides like making it into a sync, like. What did Green do, the god, to the phone exactly?
Luck theme explanation spoilers. Reality is chaos. Chaos is luck. God from reality. Reality from God. Reality to human. Human to order. God to human. God to order.
Hey, thanks, author. That really clears everything up. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Fish.
Exactly.
Very, very Rick and Morty of you, Fish. That was good. I'm going to give it an up.
So basically, luck is not involved in this, is what that tells us.
But I think it was good. I think it's silly.
Yeah.
But I would definitely want this to stay up. It kind of gives me like, what is it, 4991? Whatever one is, this is how the world ends, bang, but with the shit post. Kind of gives me that sort of like irreverent kind of comedy that's like, it's funny just because it existing, by virtue of existing.
If you say so.
Even though it's like the implications are really like, wild. The whole thing it's funny. I like it.
I love the God phone.
Yeah,
especially because God phone is a flip phone, and that's inherently funny.
Yes, that's yeah. Especially because of the picture. I'm like, man, this is gonna be some intense stuff. Mm-hmm. It's a phone. It's a flip phone.
Yep.
I wonder what this
kind of, the article kind of it kind of does a rug pull on itself, doesn't it?
Theme is though. I've never seen this theme before.
Yeah. That's because it's never been used and never should be used again.
What is
simulacrum? It has nothing to do with the article, I'll tell you that. Simulacrum, tomatoes. Come on, it's a simulation, right? A simulation and the thing simulated.
What is this for?
Ad abyssium.
It has nothing to do with the article, I'll tell you that. I mean, I think basically the author was like, hey, here's a fancy word up top. And they counted themselves, clever.
Tactical theology. Wiki. Tactical theology. Okay. It's just been changed up a bit.
Yep.
All right, taking it back.
So the next one is 3 White Horses, which I adored.
Stomachache.
I certainly thought...
Ooh. There you go.
Certainly thought this was...
happens. I'll believe I can be saved.
I certainly thought this was one of the better articles of the contest. The first week, this was the best one that I read, I think, by far. And then I read Harry Blank's entry, and I kind of acquiesced to it being the better one for a variety of reasons. But just in terms of sheer sophistication and sheer finesse, this article, Three White Horses, I think is still maybe, it's hard to say that it's the best written, but it certainly is up there with The Loser. It's just, it doesn't really have the commercial attractiveness that The Loser as an article does. It's almost like that vocalist who's got a beautiful voice, but he or she is unfortunately, or they, or whatever, is unfortunately not very physically attractive, so the mainstream pop sort of commercial, racket is not going to, pick that person up. And that's just sad, but that's the way it is.
When I die, I won't notice it. I'll die hopeful. I miss you, and I'm chasing him. If anyone can. I don't know on your definition of it. I don't know. All you need to know is that you're alive. See you someday.
Good article. Holy God. There's a phrase for this article, what it does, that I learned since covering it. I wish I would have known this phrase when I was covering it. But it's soft world building. Soft world building versus hard world building. Hard world building, is like, the way I take it is it's like in your face, like here's, a few paragraphs of exposition, almost like prerequisite reading to get you to where the article wants to play in. But soft world building takes you where you need to go, and it's almost a manner of passive sightseeing. And I think it's a lot more subtle to do it that way. This article does it kind of soft world building like that. And I think it's really, really to the better for it. It's one of the more impressive things about it, how it just is so fluent, so effortless when it comes to its lore building.
Woo!
And
yeah,
that was an undertaking.
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay, I am a big fan of this one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
See, hey, the Sherm's got some good taste.
It's like I saw some people in the chat saying it's like an inverse Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse kind of deal.
Yep.
You get it?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it became very obvious at the end, but I kind of saw how they were fitting into the paradigm earlier on.
Yep.
Like by the third one, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. It's like, yeah, peace and whatnot. Yeah. Also in the chat, I have to acknowledge this. Someone asked, can they get an uwu? So I will happily uwu. There you go. You're welcome.
Uwu delivered. Congratulations.
Thank you for the $2 and change for that uwu.
Perfect. Something that this did very, very well, just that I'm ecstatic about, is the way that it did not hold your hand on this alternate universe.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put soft world building. Didn't hold your hand. Thank you. Excellent.
Yes.
And the way it delivered it just had me like, what the fuck into high heaven.
Yep.
As we keep going on, they're like, man, paper. You need like a requisition for paper. Paper request denied.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's one of the more unique, primer notices that we've seen on an SCP, certainly in recent memory, right here up top, in the Raisa yellow.
A lot of it, I mean, like the dialogue and stuff is really solid. I think the choice to just do the dialogue that you did earlier, that's very good. Like this also just felt like a whole saga. Like there were times I was like, oh yeah, we're still on this one. Comes back to the horses. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the horses one. We're still on the horse.
When I first read this, I was like, the first few paragraphs, I was like, I'm not sure about this. And then it just throws you into that dialogue of the two people in the desert, and it just is so discombobulated. It's like the technique of a movie, very cinematic, where it just kind of shows you just a very small few pixels of a really large image, and you slowly start to kind of get what's going on. It was a beautiful way to get into the article.
Horses one. It covers such a large ground.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Updoot City.
Absolutely.
City.
I think this one's doing pretty well. I mean, not that Upvote's really, I'm kind of in this phase now where I'm like post Upvote, right? Like I've ragged on the Upvote as much as you can, and it's as little now as it can be to me. That little thing up there is about this big. And so, I mean, it's like at some point, I mean, let me say it this way. In earlier times, it was much bigger, and I was like, oh, the rating module sucks. Like, hey, look how awful this fucking rating module is. And that was good for the time, but now it's just like, it's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. It's whittled away, its significance, its meaning, its primacy, its whatever. It has whittled away so much for me that it's like this little speck now. And so, I'm not really as upset talking about ratings. It's almost what I would call post upvotes, post ratings, where now it's just like, okay, so I know that these things are ridiculously stupid. Let's just see how stupid it can get, So you have really good articles that are rated really poorly. You have really great, really bad articles that are rated very highly. And it becomes sort of its own spectacle. It's sort of subsumed in this larger plasticity of understanding the rating module as this really just joke of a thing. So these days I look at the rating module and I put a -J onto it. So that's how I look at it. But yeah, I mean, so I'm happy to see this got upvotes. I mean, not that once again means anything, but I'm always happy when the rating module, I think, correctly identifies really, really good articles.
For sure.
Not often.
I'm going to look up the GoFundMe on my iPad rather than clicking the screen because I
don't
know if it does a weird thing where it doesn't update perfectly every time I refresh it.
Got it.
Sometimes the GoFundMe does weird things.
That's fair.
Sure.
Very fair.
It's also good to not break this going back and forth and back and forth.
And the let's see, that was Three White Horses by the author.
They call me Tim.
They call me Tim.
I'll never forget that author now.
Tim.
Never.
As they call you.
They do call you that.
Excellent work, author.
Yes. B. Sherm is such a theater teacher, a theater coach. Great job, author. Love it. You can almost see him sitting in like the second to last back row of the high school theater, room. Project, enunciate, such a thespian.
Theological anomalies so far.
Yep.
Indeed, and I notice a lot.
Yeah.
Of somewhat climate change adjacent.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I'm glad that I let him say it.
I did think that this one had a lot of similarities to the one with
There's a lot of climate change. There's a lot of divinity. Obviously, there's a lot of just like luck played straight. Let's go for some of the deeper fruit here. Divinity, climate change, and then also supply chain issues is a big deal in this whole contest. You have multiple articles that kind of deal with and ask questions about and stage supply chain issues, and so it's interesting. And then, of course, pandemics as well. So it's kind of interesting to see all this stuff sort of bleed into the fiction from the real world.
The comet. There was a lot of kind of like similar themes. Obviously, the core anomaly is very different, but yeah, very good.
Very good.
If you please,
I thought you said you weren't going to go here.
Before we move on to the next anomaly, please make your way over to the...
I'm going to grab me one thing to drink because, as you can see, I'm yawning. It's been a hell of a week. My AC in my car went out. It's 100 degrees here. I've been driving in 100-degree weather without AC. I'm exhausted. I'm completely drained of energy. But anyway, so I'm going to go get a little caffeinated beverage. You watch this for about 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
GoFundMe linked in our description of this stream to go help our buddy Jeremiah Sumerian get this whole roof housing situation fixed.
Yes. If you're just joining us, a tree tried to kill Dr. Sumerian, and we're trying to raise money to have that tree executed. Now, we're raising money to help Sumerian get out of his house before it falls on him. So, that would mean a lot to us, to myself, to Sumerian, to everyone that's making this stream happen. and all the events that we're going to be doing where we're promoting his GoFundMe. Yeah.
All right, let's lose the 3 white horses and let's make our way to Stomachache by Sonderance.
Oh, yeah. I'll take this one. Mm-hmm. Know all about stomachache.
Yes, indeed.
Stomachaches by Sonderance.
Yes, indeed. This is also a good article, by the way.
All right.
I enjoyed it.
Oh, 1 second. Ah. Here we are. And
Yum.
SCP-7000.
Okay, so now we can skip that. So, that stomachache.
It's
So
up
we'll
on
go
our list.
here. We'll head back just a wee bit.
So it must have been assumed that the demons life. Every second, every minute of every day with you up. As for me to so much no SCP-7000, okay? Then I'll stay awake. Tonight I'll be here with you, even
Almost there.
outside of the parameters of its anomalous diet. Its dinner that night consisted of peppermint tea.
This is one of those moments where the dissonant strings, the dissonant synth work on the audio track does not mesh very well with what we're reading.
Ginger ale and French onion soup.
Ooh.
That was good. Once again, a lot of a lot of religious articles. I'll just
Yeah.
a lot of theological stuff.
Yeah.
But
Why was the character so concerned that it was hurting other people?
Billith, you want to take that
I
one?
guess it assumed that the demons were people, and like it's all how they reacted to the demons.
No.
And I guess because it felt guilt for potentially, like, it blamed itself for the death of its mother.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
And then it sort of...
It's really, it's part of a psychological thing, usually, when people blame themselves for things that, it's not their fault, but they do anyway.
like started assigning that guilt onto other things, I guess.
Exactly.
I thought that some of the regurgitated items kind of made it seem like the SCP-7000 was helping people. You know what I mean? Like the cancerous growths that had surgical removal, like that belonged to humans. Is that like indicates that it like has some connection to at least 4 people getting their tumors removed, right?
Interesting.
I don't know.
Hadn't thought about that when I read that. Interesting.
So like, I mean, I think the last bits that were really good. That final log was like, it was pretty emotional. I felt myself getting a little emotional at that one.
For sure. I cried. Not gonna lie. Probably because I'm a parent.
I just like I get kind of tired of seeing the traditional Judeo-Christian motifs in some of these religious articles. But at the same time, I mean, it's well written. There's a few errors here and there.
Got a hang up on that Judeo-Christian God, huh? See, this is what I mean by post. Like, if you're not post-religion, that stuff bothers the hell out of you. But at some point, you just kind of get over it all. And it's not to say you become religious again. It's just that you don't really care. You're post that stuff. I don't think Billith. Sorry, I don't think Billith is post the Judeo-Christian God. That's fine. But just like any other god.
But I mean, it's a contest entry. It happens. I don't know. What do you think?
I thought it was well written.
Honestly, this just doesn't affect me emotionally. Like, even the mom log, just like, just didn't vibe with me.
That's fair. I will say this, though. Being a parent and reading that, it was striking. It was striking to read that because it made me wonder if this author is a parent. Because just the clarity of the emotions, that one moment in the final log where it said, I'll be happy for you every day. There's not a day that goes by where I'm not, happy about you, and like, things like that. That is such a parent specific thing. I mean, I know it's probably, there are people who can kind of see that, but once you live that, I mean, that line just shines. It just shines. I mean, that's probably what got me right here in the heart, honestly.
That's fair. I do think that, like I said, like there's a couple sentences that came off that should have been rewritten. I think, with the one with the old man, like this is like for reference, if the author is listening, I could look. It's the one where, with its hand, mentions its hand as a separate sentence. Where is it? Here we go. It says the old man waves a dismissive hand. Hard stop. The one not inside the tall figure. You've got a subject there, but you need the rest of the sentence.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes these articles get a little carried away in themselves, and they get a little purple. That was one moment. Obviously, the author probably meant to do that, just in that case for comedic effect, ish. But I agree with Billith. That's really not the time or place for that, and it comes off as an error because of it.
Sentence. The one not inside the tall figure it's a little clunky. It could be, if you put a little comma there, that would be at least
exactly.
A little better.
So you see, easy. You might just go the pathway of least regret.
Just like a little thing. Maybe it could just use a little revision, a little bit of tonal adjustment. But like the core concept, I like the core concept. It does, like, it's a little flat.
Yeah, for me,
the end log is good.
This one's just like a no vote for me. I'm not super interested yet. I think if I got more of the character and like the story, I could be like for it. But right now, it just kind of doesn't hit me with what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
It's not.
I hear you. I mean, what does it do well? What does it do well? What doesn't it do well?
Bad, but it's just not there yet, I don't think.
And
my
like
opinion anyways, which really super doesn't matter.
the note from Saunders under the ratings mod says, by someone with a sensitive stomach. I feel you there, Saunders. I feel you there.
All right.
Good job in expanding just the simple idea of upset stomach into a pretty effective article, in my opinion. Now, this next one is Horn of Plenty, and I have watched a little bit of this, and actually, this was what what convinced me to look at this on these streams. So we'll get into this. We're actually going to skip it just a bit. I remember talking about this one on our show. There was a section here as they're reading it where, when I did my review, I said, this is really where the article makes some concessions that are egregious, like, almost things you can't come back from. And so I wanted to kind of highlight this one moment where they come across this part in the article, because I think it's just perfect. It's just so good. I want to make this into a GIF, whatever you call it. And I want to put this into like my Discord, not my Discord, but I want to put it into the Discord server that I hang out in, like as a reaction GIF. Let's get to it, because this article is very long, and I do not envy these two reading all of this. Okay, so here it is. We finally get through all this muck and mire of pretty much exposition. Yes, you can already see it in Billith's face. I want you to watch Billith. Is there a way I can make this better? Does that help any? Oh, that wasn't it. I don't think it helps any. I think it just moves it over. So anyway, watch Billith. Billith obviously is the one in the bottom.
Christ's pain and suffering washed off by the military. Seated across from him. 4 Mobile Task Force Alpha 1 red right hand agents stand behind 051 for her. So
let me just kind of, synopsize what's going to happen. So this is the transcript log of this article, the Horn of Plenty. And they get to this meeting between 05 and this tribunal representative council of, I think, it's the Horizon Initiative. And so the first thing that they talk about, the first thing that the author decides to drop is a Milk Jesus reference. And so I want you to pay attention to Billith, who reacts to this very quietly in body language and facial expression, but says really all that there is to say in doing so about just how ridiculously poor of an idea it was to include this in this dialogue here. Awful, awful decision, awful writing. Let's watch Billith react to it.
Horizon Initiative soldiers stand behind the tribunal. Is this about the milk? No. Actually, no. We're
First he goes, yep, it's Milk Jesus.
still ironing out
Yep.
the details, but
Yep.
our working theory is that it consists of Christ's pain and suffering washed off by the milk
He knows.
bath.
Now he knows. Now he knows. The realization has hit him fully.
And given life by contact with his blood. And
Yep. He can't believe it. He can't believe it. You can't outrun Jesus, the Milk Jesus. Look at him. Look at his face. I fucking love it.
curdled. Yes, curdled into its curtain form by our sin.
Yes, the old face palm right there. Oh, the old rubbing the temples, rubbing the eyes. Yes, Billith, yes.
It's not him, in other words. It just
The whole finger on the temple, rest against it, kind of, I am done with, I've had it up to here, I'm done with this shit kind of thing. Love it.
thinks it is. Or it's an utter fraud. Or that. Either way,
He can't
Jesus,
believe it. He can't believe it. No change of the facial expression there. He can't believe it. He is sick of this shit, and I'm sick of it too. Billith, oh my gosh, what a reaction.
and the Lord would support its use to feed the needy.
Look
Great.
at him, he's
So what
done.
is the problem?
Look at it.
We're not
he,
sure
He
SCP-7000
cannot believe
is
it.
the
Hold
worst
on, one more time.
sins.
It's really
It's
on.
not
So the
him.
Milk Jesus was bad, right? That's what got Billith kind of riled up. Me too, by the way. And then the author decides to throw like one of the worst, most unimaginative puns ever invented right in the middle of the discussion here, on the tail end of this Milk Jesus reference. And, you know, when I read this article, my statement was that the article just had its neck snapped. It is dead, flatlined. There's no way it can come back from that, period. Just strained the read way too much. That was a fatal moment, a fatal flaw, a fatal decision, fatal mistake by the author. One more time, just look, I'm going to let it play. Watch when Billith hears the pun about it being an utter, UDDER, because of milk, obviously, an utter fraud. Just watch. Perfect reaction.
In other words, it just thinks it is. Or it's an utter fraud. Or that. Either way, we've agreed that Jesus and the Lord would support its use to feed the needy. Great. So what is the problem? We're not sure SCP-7000 is the way to do it.
Yeah, I
Why
fucking
not?
love it. That's it,
Well, your
dude.
plans
He is done
have
with
some
this article.
holes.
He's
What happens to the
he's disgusted with this article, as well he should be.
food after it's delivered to the distribution points? Governments will take over from there.
Billith, you are singing my song right now. Such a spiritual bro right now.
And what if the government can't handle it? Or
Hey, kudos to thee Sherm for like, I mean, I guess that's one thing. If you're an actor, you've got to like just brush past shitty lines like that. You know, you've got to just like take it in stride. So good job for thee Sherm, suppressing the sort of reactions that I hope he was having, as well as just like what Billith was having.
won't. We don't have the resources to micromanage.
Anyway, no way in hell I'm going to listen to the rest of this article. So let's jump ahead, and then we'll
We're
jump
going to
back.
SCP.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the section. Agent. Exits. Agent Larson had apparently been trapped in the explosion. Larson's content sold.
Yeah.
Addendum 7 remains fully
Yeah.
operational. SCP.
Yeah.
SCP-7000 will be fully capable of meeting demand, 90% of which is concentrated.
Here we go.
Wow. That was a roller coaster.
So, I was legitimately dying inside, reading the specs for this device.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so bad. I don't know why you would possibly think this is a good idea. I mean, do you not have any? You have no ability to read the room. What you're asking of your reader is so ridiculous in something like this first opening half of this article. I just can't. I don't know what the person is thinking.
And at the start, I'm gonna go the section because my emotional roller coaster here existed. The opening, okay, it's a device. That's cool. And I like the touch that it's a like large world-ending device or world-like feeding device. It's kind of like 2000 in that way, so it's similar, and it like mentions it in the article.
It tries to be 2000, fails miserably.
Right. We go into the note from the 059, and that didn't interest me at all. Like background, show not tell kind of thing. It just didn't feel great that way.
Yeah.
Then we got to the specs, and that's where I was like, I hate this article. I want it to die. This is the worst.
I mean, really, honestly, that's taking notes from something like Admonition, which at least has the decency of collapsing this kind of stuff as an optional portion of the article to read. But if you're so timid, this is why I don't respect Admonition, is because it refuses to have a backbone with its own identity, right? It's the accessibility mode, which basically says, hey, here's how I want to present myself, but if you don't like it, I'll change. Just tell me if you don't like it, and I'll change to better suit your mood kind of thing. And it does the same thing with these spec sections. It's like, hey, I really want to put this in here, but if you don't like it, you can just skip it. It's no big deal. Like, you just, and it's this doormat of an article presentation. And so, in some respects, I guess this author is, there's something a little more to respect here because the author is so insistent upon something like this section existing. But I mean, still, it's not a good idea. I mean, same note goes for Admonition. Just get rid of it. I mean, no one, I mean, not nobody, but I mean, to think that this is like good writing or impressive, it's just insane.
Worst. Then it got to the food that was involved. And I started to get a little happy because the crosslinks started to be more interesting to me, that like some of the higher crosslinks I weren't that interested in. The food ones, okay, now we're like really thematically using them. Yep. Then we got to...
Yeah, but that's the only part of it that's good, and it's totally relying on other SCPs. At least repurposing them.
Specs again. I got really annoyed.
Yep.
Then we got to the interview, and I think you can tell that's when I came back to life.
Yeah, but oh my gosh.
Yes, of course. I was like, oh, they're gonna give you the multi-person conversation again. Well, that's good though. I mean,
that was the writing in that log was very human, and I like it a lot.
Say it, Billith. Speak it.
Then the event rundown.
You didn't do it.
Are
I know you didn't like that Milk Jesus bit.
Fine, but yeah, fine. So things are fine now.
Yes. Then we get to the addenda.
Let me turn this off.
They are not on the same page
the
right
Mana
now.
Charitable Foundation. That's an obscure GOI that hardly ever gets any attention nowadays.
Kudos.
So thank you, whoever did that.
Yeah.
Is it all by Cathar Derastrix? Very, very impressive.
Very cool name.
It's a long one.
This is the beast. Discussion. Rate 23. That's happens when the articles are this long.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah.
It's like they're so exhausted just reading through it. It's like, I don't have anything else to say.
A lot of critters.
Yeah, I felt like the huge, acceptance speech, mile-long acceptance speech from the author up here too was just poor taste. You never want to overstay your welcome when it comes to explaining, stuff like this. You want to save it for an AMA if you ever get to that moment.
Inspired by 2000, that's good.
I could see that for sure.
Is it?
And 6523.
Blade Runner urban hellscape caused by global famine.
Right.
Told you. Global famine, supply chain shit.
Trying to figure out what caused the famine. Huh. Overall neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall neat indeed. I did like I think the high point food stuff. I really liked the absurdity, and then of course I wasn't expecting two different weird Jesuses, but it might be more. Who knows?
You said it.
I make a joke about it because I know of at least 4 legitimate Jesuses on the site.
Yeah.
Anytime someone in a video says, "Oh, Jesus, help me," it's like, which Jesus? Do you want Uber driver Jesus? Do you want bread Jesus? Do you want milk Jesus? Or do you want Vor Jesus?
It's got sticky Jesus now. And
now we have sticky Jesus. And also horse Jesus, who died for your sins.
Right.
So
that article literally is a bad pun.
We're up to 6 Jesuses.
I'll take milk Jesus, please, for 500.
Now, 6 Jesuses.
It's all the same Jesus. That's the revelation of Jesus Christ.
That's a lot. That's enough to qualify for a Jesus tag. I'm told we can't have tags that are like proper nouns like that.
All right. Shame. All right. K name, I can't remember because I'm not on the page right now. Yeah, you were losing me on the technical aspects, but they do fit the world and they are relevant, and the human emotion in everything else and the political machinations really sold me on it.
Yeah.
That updoot is granted.
100%.
Wow.
All right.
So
I'm just not very forgiving, I guess, when it comes to things like terrible puns in the midst of your serious article. All right. So Just a Number by Mini Meats. Oh, this was an interesting one. One.
I guess.
Let's see.
Advise some.
Oops.
Yeah.
Checking on the fun.
Oops. J.D. Wiggins. Looks like they're done.
Ondokinetic radiation, which is believed to be.
You sit here in a 3-piece suit, casually telling me you've rigged the entire thing, and that you don't. Friends, my life more from you. Behind the curtain and keep it shut. Mayor Wiggs motions for the personnel outside. The guards then enter the cafe to.
Yada yada yada.
Okay. With it. It never did.
It never did. What y'all think?
Okay.
Over this highly dissonant string portion.
Quite a few spelling, grammar, and punctuation errors. And,
ooh.
Not unreadable, but I did just automatically kind of go over them, saying the right thing.
Yep.
Once it caught me. The idea is cool. It to me it feels like it falls a little flat. But I like the idea. General vibe. What do you think?
Sure. That's your cue.
I'm trying to understand the the Central Statistical Command. Probability engine located in the geographic center of the city. Object composed of polished black stone, railroad spike. Ondokinetic radiation, which is believed to be responsible for the edits to local space-time. Change the personal history and physiology of residents in order to conform to be expected statistical models. So far as not. Okay, so where I got a little lost is
come on.
I don't feel like I got
out with it.
The story of Duro picking winners and losers that we hear in the interview after.
Yeah. I guess the idea being that Duro is like so. He's a statistical anomaly.
Right.
So his presence in the city influences statistical trends in such a way that it affects other people. I guess.
That makes sense. I'm getting a strong I'm getting strong pushback from these two over this article. There's almost a thin air of hostility. They are just gobsmacked, not sure what to say. And I don't blame him. This was a very odd article. It was a great idea. I thought it had very poor execution. The dialogue was just remarkably bad at moments, but nice idea.
Conformed to expected statistical models, but is not extended beyond the boundaries of the anomaly. So yeah, it just makes everyone average.
Right.
City's so average, makes everyone average.
Well,
Yep.
Duro, yeah, I guess. See, because it says here that let's see, like, yes, and that's why our presence here confuses me. There's no way they'd allow some powerful bias to carry out this investigation. I have to conclude you lied and omitted most things that happened in the report. Is that true? So he ended up there by accident or something, and did not tell people what was happening at the city. So when they sent him back, it wouldn't have been the right person for the job because he wasn't average enough, I think. Maybe. Let me look at the description, the discussion. See if there's any.
Good point. Good point. For discussion.
Somewhat subversive take on luck, which is in a way really just a method of comparison. Can only be lucky by.
See, this guy's like, he's really smart about his idea, really academic with it, and then just it's good until it gets to like the character work. Doesn't go anywhere after that.
Examining, comparing your circumstances to someone who is not. Luck is a plucky, fickle, cruel thing, and sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is to not be even slightly lucky. Is average good or bad? Lucky or unlucky? What even is average? I don't know either. If you didn't know, should have done Luck, Wisconsin. Sitting right there.
Luck, Wisconsin. Oh, is that the city?
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, I like this. I like the idea, but I feel like I will no vote just because it feels like it needs some like revision.
It didn't really do anything for me on this one, unfortunately.
Yeah. But
it's interesting to see. I think Billith is a little more scholastic in his assessment of articles, and the Sherm seems to almost purely be like sensation based. Like, what did it do for me? Like, did I feel good after reading it? A slightly hedonistic approach from the Sherm, I think.
Deserves to be on this.
Not a bad thing. I'm just saying.
Site, I guess.
Yeah. Checking on the fundraiser.
All right, we'll do one more.
Another $20 on the fire.
Yes, we do. We're at 26.
So just a number. So this next one is going to be
this one.
Mr. Rogers in a blood-stained sweater. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
The same way didn't feel as human.
Okay.
But that was funny.
Okay.
The back half.
Come on.
But and then they brought in.
Whew. This is a long review.
It's the
Goodness gracious.
accepted terms. The Department of Otherworld and Grant Containment Chambers Protor. He and all the department that will come about. Jackson is informed of the news.
There we go. I get the strings now, like this like very misplaced string section that causes so much dissonance and anxiety in the read. I get it because it's really from the perspective of the author of these pieces going like what are they going to say, but like the tension, what are they going to say about my article? Like, did they like it? Oh God, I get it now.
Okay. Well.
It's the absurdity of it all.
Yeah. So.
Wacky. This woman, look, Mr. Rogers. That's kind of my take on it.
I was like, originally I'm like, this is straight up Mary Sue, like the way this is characterized. Then they brought in Darkblade, and I'm like, they're doing this on, like, is it pataphysics? Is there a pataphysics?
Can you talk a little closer to your mic, mate? I'm losing you.
Sorry there. Yeah, yeah, this has a sensitive range on it. I'm sure there's some sort of like pataphysical thing to this, right? Because like they gave it a J designation, and then they brought in Darkblade.
But they gave it. This is one of my problems that I have with it. Is it gave it a J designation. It's a lot like the admonition thing, where it's like it doesn't have enough confidence to be something, and so it tries to be multiple things for different people, and it's just like somebody who doesn't have. It's just a doormat of a person. This is a doormat of an article.
And like the way the anomaly's talking, it feels like very like Mary Sue-esque, like the dialogue where it's like it got a razz out of the researcher and stuff in the beginning. Like that felt very like how not to write humanoid anomalies, but it felt very purposeful at the same time, right? Like I think that was kind of the point, right? It's like
to
like,
write
why else
bad.
did they give it a J designation?
I saw on Twitter the other day, someone coined the term Neo-Lol Foundation. And I don't know if it was about this, but I think...
Yes. I wonder who that could have been in reference to.
About this.
That is hilarious. So what I was wondering is if so, you know, one little guilty pleasure that I've had in this whole like Plague PJP Neo-Law Foundation claiming to coin it kind of thing would be, I think the golden goose of this situation would be to see people in Plague's circle, right, like on their side of things, and they actually believe that he coined the term Neo-Law Foundation. That, I think, would be just, it would be the creme de la creme. It would be, you know, the piece de resistance, right? Because, you know, deep down, every time Plague is given due and credit for coming up with this term, you know, not only does he know deep down that it's a lie, but the best part about it is that people like D. Sherm are like, oh, because apparently it was created and delivered by Plague. They're like, oh, well, that's a great term. That's a good idea. And they don't know that actually it was fucking us. It was fucking us. You're telling us that our ideas are good, motherfucker. Somebody just stole that shit. I guarantee you, if he saw that on my Twitter, if he saw that on my site, if he saw that in the config wiki, he'd be like, it's a stupid fucking term. But you see what happens now. Now he likes it. So I'm fucking down for that. So this is what I was hoping to see. Hilarious. Let's listen to it again.
Like, why else did they give it a J designation?
I saw on Twitter the other day, someone coined the term Neo-Lol Foundation. And I don't know if it was about this, but I think it's about this.
Yeah, well, it's that's actually pretty funny because this oh man, the irony of this just tosses and turns as if in its grave. Yeah, so, you know, when Plague's definition of what Neo-Law Foundation is a total miss. It has nothing to do. It's completely mistaken from what we actually meant when we coined the term Neo-Law Foundation in January of this year, January 2022. But in a kind of a leapfrogging, kind of like onto its own shoulders kind of way, D. Sherm has intuited what we initially were trying to mean with the Neo-Law Foundation. This article is Neo-Law Foundation. It does away with the J designation in a sense. It doesn't care about it, right? It doesn't respect it. It's giving a main list article a J in portions of the article. That doesn't really make sense. That's a total Neo-Law Foundation move. So I'm glad also to see that the spirit of this term, it's so well capsulated into the term that it's still getting through. So I like to see that too.
That makes sense. Let me check the discussion. Department of Other. See, the Department of Other, this is the first time I've ever heard that.
Yeah, they made it up so that they're trying to canonize -Js. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
Department. And
same.
It feels like
Dumb.
very almost like Department of Surrealistics kind of vibe.
Wants to be that when it grows up.
because they're playing with things that just don't make any logical sense. You just had absurdism. But,
So, the opening of the article, the interview with Jackson, that lost me completely. I wasn't on board.
Yeah.
With the tone, with everything. And the back half got me by going too far. It crossed the line, then it crossed the line again, then it crossed the line again. And to me, this got the upvote for that. And I like how many tests and how far they push, like, what is the logic here?
I really like the part where they banned kindness. But that was funny. And yeah, you're right. It's like you know, the story of how far they and they really do go they go very far with it. And I also agree completely that like that first interview log, I was pulled out. I was like, this is
good way to put it.
This is not
pulled out. I like that.
This is not catching my attention in the same way. Didn't feel as human, but I think that's like all part of like the thing. And you say Neo Lowell Foundation-esque. I don't see any like, reference to Lowell Foundation in the
bitch
tags or in the comments. And I believe the person that said that Neo Lowell Foundation thing was not the same person.
Correct.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Correct. They don't know how right they are.
Fuck
yeah, dude.
Possible connection with that. Yeah.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, all I'm saying is it has a vibe of something that I would call Neo Lowell Foundation.
Hey, see, I fucking love it. I love it. These people are undoing the problems that Plague tried to introduce automatically by intuition. That's how good of a term it is. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Love it.
Dang.
What a victory.
Wow.
And
look how many people, 3,000 people have seen this. 3,000 people now know Neo Lowell Foundation as a term. You can keep the credit, Plague. I don't give a fuck. Holy shit, that's a victory.
Might I add, that was a fun one.
Yeah, yeah. Man.
Cheers, baby.
What do they think of next?
Just wins all over the place. All right, that's about it. About an hour. My watch is on upside down. What the hell? I told you this is a crazy week. All right, so we'll do this again in a week. We are about, I know it seems like we'll be on this forever, but we started this episode tonight at about the 1 hour mark, and now we're at the 5 hour mark. So I think we'll get through this in the next few times. And I really enjoy listening to this. This is a lot of fun. Obviously, the commentary really is why we're doing this, just to hear what my brothers in Crit have to say about these things that we've talked about. So excited to get through the rest of it, and I hope you'll join us for that as well. This Friday, we'll do our typical Friday stream. That is the Weekend Collapsible, where we go through all the SCP articles that were posted to the wiki in that given week. We've kind of deviated from that formula just for a little bit because the 7Con is still so here and quite large. And so we'll do that. It should be a little, just a heads up, a little shorter of a stream this Friday. I've got some things, some commitments that I'll need to get to. So that stream won't be like 6 hours. I'm hoping to keep it at the 3 hour mark or something. So we'll probably do either a little fewer articles than we did in the past 2 weeks or just get through them quicker. But yes, that'll be Friday. Check that out. And then the next time after that, we'll be back is a week from today. We'll pick up right where we left off at the about 4 hour and 50 mark. I want to thank you for being here tonight. I really appreciate you being here, joining, and giving it a check out. This has been SCP-CRNP, a.k.a. Lack of Lepers. Y'all take it easy. Have a great night.